Hi there, this is Anthony Metivier from MagneticMemoryMethod.com. If you haven't been by the site, please do swing by. There's 4 free videos there that will teach you about how to use memory palaces and different techniques inside of memory palaces so you can learn and memorize anything. But it's not always fun and games. There is frustration, and I want to talk about dealing with frustration when using memory techniques because so many people know how they work, they know why they work, and they know that they work, and yet they're not getting results with them. And it's usually frustration that gets in between their ability to succeed and the memory techniques because they're really, really simple to use, but often the body and the mind react against them, and there's reasons for that. So let's dig in and start with a question that I received recently. It says, Dear Anthony, once again, thank you for the effort you put into the video. This person is referring to a webinar that I did recently with Ollie Richards, so scour the internet and my YouTube channel if you'd like to find it. The letter goes on, however, I am stuck. I just made my list of 10 words along with a guide and an object, action, and reaction for each. Okay, this seemed all right, and I was excited to finally start doing magnetic memory method memory palaces instead of just studying about how to do them. But when I started, I couldn't remember which word was at station 1, or any station. Also, should I focus on the target word Spanish or the English word I know? I want so much to be able to use this method and teach it to my students, but I'm stuck and frustrated again. Well, first of all, thank you for your note. And congratulations on taking action. Not everyone does. You're in the 1% of people who actually take a technique that they've learned and do something with it. So many people don't. They just think about it or whatever. As you're saying, you don't want to think about it, you want to take action. So you've taken action. That is absolutely fantastic. And that means that if you keep taking action, you're going to get there. And you're going to learn so much about yourself, about the world, about learning, about the psychological properties of the human mind because you are taking action. Motion is so important, and in this case it's better than meditation. Meditation is really good, it helps clear the pipes, but you need motion in order to make something happen. And so congrats, I congratulate you again and again and again. And believe it or not, it's actually good news that you're having this issue, and it's good news because you can solve it. If you don't have any issues because you haven't taken action, then you don't have any issues, so you can't solve it. You can't learn. You can't grow. And why is this so extraordinary and so powerful? Well, because you can work on solving it, and every problem is an opportunity to find a solution. So one way to do that is indeed to focus on just one word at a time, but always, always, always in your target language. So make sure that that first word is memorized and make sure it's in the target language. You want to focus on Spanish. You want Spanish to be the first thing that comes to mind when you use the associative imagery to encode the word, to give your mind the chance to see those images and understand the sound and the meaning at the same time. And they stand between your mind and your memory and your mother tongue, so that you really don't want to have your mother tongue coming up. You just want the image to give you the sound and the meaning. So let me give you an example of in Spanish. Abuela is grandmother, and so I have Abraham Lincoln as my image. This is actually on my mother's bed. Read that as you will. But so Abuela is Abraham Lincoln with Ella Fitzgerald, and Ella Fitzgerald is saying boo to his face, and she's dressed like a grandmother. So my mind is not going to grandmother, it's going to Abraham Lincoln, and it's not going to the word grandmother, let's say. It's going, I have the concept of the word grandmother, that's what I want, but it goes to Abraham Lincoln and Ella Fitzgerald as grandma saying boo in his face. So Abuela, Ella Fitzgerald, Abraham Lincoln, boo, Abuela. And so I get the sound and then the meaning, and it's just it stands in front of the mother tongue. And so that's really important, and that's true for any word that you want to memorize. It's very, very important. And you want to focus on this language that you're studying. You don't want to focus on a language you're not studying. You don't want to focus on your mother tongue. You're not learning your mother tongue. And you want to train your brain to think in Spanish. So that's the way that you do it, because we think in images. Some people feel that they're not visual, but at the end of the day, we are all visual. We have to be visual. We can't, eat and we can't think without visual things. We need to be able to see in our mind the future actions that we're going to take When we are looking for our car in a parking lot, we know, we see in our mind the potential places that it should be and it could be, but it isn't. And if we do know where it is, then we have a picture in our mind of where it is. And it doesn't mean that we actually see it in our mind like HD television or something like that. It's just that we have a picture of it. Picture does not necessarily mean that you see it, but it is a visual construct. So as I'm saying, you do this by using nonverbal images to take you directly to the Spanish sounds and their meanings. So they're nonverbal, but they're still sound-based, like abuela. And as we've talked about before, and here's the frustration part, use relaxation. Be relaxed. Be relaxed. It's so incredibly fundamental to all creativity, to all learning. When you're tensed and when you're stressed, you can't learn. There's no need to be frustrated. Frustration comes from tension, from stress. And this is also the ego raising up. The ego doesn't want you to change. The ego doesn't want you to succeed. The ego wants things to stay exactly where they are because it's trying to preserve energy. It's trying to prevent you from having to spend energy because you now have new responsibilities, you have new activities you can engage in. That's not what the ego wants. The ego that we have is still connected to, our ancient ancestors on the plains of savannas and all that stuff in Africa, where really our job was to move as little as possible so that we only, came out of the shade from the tree in order to hunt and eat and gather berries or whatever we were doing, and then go back and sleep again. We know this. And so the ego has really evolved to prevent us from taking action and getting the results that we want because it's an expenditure of energy. Now, I'm not going to get all psychoanalytical and so forth, but it's my theory, and I think it stands up pretty well when you look at the vast majority of people who do nothing. And there must be a reason. It's not that they're weak individuals or there's anything wrong with them, but I think that it's an effect of the ego not wanting them to change and not wanting them to expend energy and take on new responsibilities that require the expenditure of even more energy. So it's the old superhero thing, when you get a new skill, then you get more responsibility, and with the great power comes great responsibility. So this is why the ego doesn't want you to do it, and this is why it uses frustration. See, the frustration is not a thing that you need to get involved in. It's a state. It's something that arises. But if you see it as a shape, as a form, as something that has dimension and borders, then you can just take it objectively and say, here is frustration. I'm going to use relaxation in the context of frustration and chill it out, calm it down. And this is going to really, really change things and really make everything different when you just don't get involved in frustration. So, frustration only pushes success away, and it makes it bigger, and fighting with frustration makes the frustration bigger. It makes it a monster. So when that frustrated feeling comes, embrace it, and then take its energy and direct it at your goals, or just play with it. Like I said, see the borders, feel the foundations, and just see it for what it is. It's just a state. Don't get involved in it. And when that frustrated feeling comes, literally embrace it. It's a part of you. It's something that's created by you. It's like a child that is crying, and it doesn't even know why. It's just crying, and so you comfort it. And then take its energy and direct it at your goals. So every time you fail, or you feel that you fail, this is fail in quotation marks, you have an opportunity to grow and get better. And that's really what frustration is an opportunity to grow and get better. And when you make a mistake with memory, all you need to do, or let's say, not call it a mistake, but something is not entering your imagination, entering your memory because something is with the tools that you're using, or you're frustrated and whatnot, analyze what's going wrong, and then take it apart. Take apart these little pieces and figure out what's going on. And then look at each and every piece. It's a puzzle. It's a game. And everything fits. And frustration is a part of that. So go back to the training if you have to. That could be part of the frustration, is that you've missed an important detail of the magnetic memory method, and you might need to review that. And don't bring frustration with you if that's the case. Just go and find it. Find what you need. Just refresh. It doesn't take that much time or energy or effort, and you may find that the answer is in the training. The training is itself just a piece of the puzzle, and your own experimentation is a piece of the puzzle, and the frustration is a piece of the puzzle. And it's a beautiful piece of the puzzle because you can reduce it and actually eliminate it from the puzzle altogether without changing the shape of the puzzle and the outcome. It's not necessary. It's not needed. So do what you can to tweak things based on the universal principles of the magnetic memory method, and the parts that you need to modify for yourself, tweak those as well, and experiment. This is ultimately a game of experimentation. And then have fun. It's just a game. It's fun, and don't get involved with the frustration. And be fascinated with the process. If you get frustrated, then be fascinated with the frustration. It's very, very important. And what I'm suggesting is just be fascinated with the frustration. And frustration, again, is just another part of the puzzle. So you can take a tip from an old Buddhist teaching that goes like this. No reasonable person shakes their fist at the heavens for raining. So why do we get frustrated with ourselves when the tiny storms come, when things happen in our soul, and we get so mad and upset? Why? It's just a state. It's just something passing through. You know, there's a theory in philosophy of territorialization and deterritorialization, and those are fancy words just to mean that, like a cloud collects together and becomes a very, very tight and territorialized set of elements, and it cannot remain that way. Eventually it will deterritorialize, and those elements will separate, and the rain will come down. And it's the same thing with emotions. But you don't get mad at a cloud when it's in the sky. I mean, you might get upset if you were going for a picnic and it starts to rain, but you don't take it personally or anything like that. But we take things personally when emotions arise in ourselves. So just let that go. Just absolutely, boom, let it go. And there's no reason to get involved with it. And so I hope this helps. Just keep going. I know that you'll find your way. And you know, if you haven't been by magneticmemorymethod.com for a while, or you haven't been there at all, there's a for-free video training series for you. So just check it out. You can come to the main site. There's a button there that says start here and offers you the four free videos. And yeah, just come on and join us in this world of wonderful memory improvement.